So some of the events from the last update, on March 14th, I took part in a First Nations panel at the University of Guelph, along with Grand Chief Abram Benedict from the Mohawk Council of Akwesasne, Grand Council Chief Patrick McDobbie from the Anishinaabeg Nation, and Deputy Grand Chief Gord Peters from the Association of Iroquois and Allied Indians. And the topic of our presentation was economic opportunities for First Nations and some of the constraints and opportunities that are there. On March 15th, I had the opportunity to attend the Aboriginal Students Award at Awards for Mohawk College in Hamilton, so congrats to all those winners. Some of you may remember that I've been pushing to get lacrosse as a game to be played in like games like the Commonwealth Games, the Pan Am Games, and eventually the Olympics, and we realized that they're not even played in the Canada Summer Games, so I've got to push on to get that done for the Canada Summer Games that are going to be held in Niagara in 2021. And I've met with Derek Graham from the Canadian Lacrosse Association, who is going to assist us in doing that. We also know that provincial elections are coming up, and some of the candidates for different positions have sought meetings with us. And I met with David Bailey, who is a candidate for mayor of Brant County. And on March 18th, I was asked to speak at the Hamilton Steelworkers Area Council in Hamilton, and that was to talk about the elimination of racial discrimination. On March 19th, we had visitors here from the Squamish Nation, Richie Baker and Councillor Marcus, and they met with council, and they also spent the day at housing to learn about our housing policies. I've also am a member of a board at the Chang School at Ryerson University. It's called the Diverse City Ontario Board, which will be running training classes to train Indigenous people to get the capacity and the expertise and the knowledge to be able to apply and to sit on corporate boards throughout the country. So that promises to be an exciting event. On March 20th, I attended the Ontario Cabinet Committee meeting on poverty reduction and social inclusion. And on the 20th, we also had a conference call, Councillor Charlie Wayne Martin, Paul General, and myself, with Vice Chief Heather Bird, who is with the Federation of Sovereign Indian Nations in Saskatchewan. Some of our Six Nations hunters were hunting in Saskatchewan, and they had the permission of the First Nation and the local landowners off the reserve, but they were still charged by the province of Saskatchewan for hunting without a permit. So we're combining forces with FSIN and going to challenge this in the provincial court system in Saskatchewan. On the 22nd, Charlie Angus, who is an NDP MP from Northern Ontario, visited Six Nations to talk about a national framework on suicide prevention that he's going to be taking to the House of Commons. Later that day, I took part, along with Councillor Sherry Lynn Hill-Pierce, in a conference call with the Minister Charles Sousa, the Minister of Finance, and the Political Confederacy of the Chiefs of Ontario, to talk about Ontario's plans with respect to cannabis regulations. And on the 22nd of March, which was World Water Day, I attended an event at the community hall, which was organized by Dr. Don Martin Hill, who is heading up the Global Water Fund project that we are partnering with MAC on. And there's going to be events taking here in June, so that was a good event. Also on March 23rd, I joined others in a conference call with the Aboriginal Sports and Wellness Council, or otherwise known as ASCO. There are some concerns about them operating and some accountability and transparency, and we're trying to get a face-to-face meeting with them because we think that the work that they're doing is, or the work in sports is really has to be important for all of our young people. I also had a visit from the Mayor of Burlington, who came to visit me and wanted to learn more about our community and tour around, and has invited us to come back to Burlington and also do speaking engagements. At the end of March, I was in Ottawa at a Women Chiefs meeting, a summit. It was very good. It was an event that was organized by women chiefs and some former women chiefs. And it was an opportunity for us to talk about our role as women leaders and some of the challenges we face and some of the successes. And then we also talked about how we could support each other. Minister Carolyn Bennett was there for a bit, and also the Minister for the Status of Women was there. And we had an opportunity to sit and talk with them. And March 29th to the 6th is when we were in the Gold Coast in Australia for the Commonwealth Games. And this past week, on April 11th, we had the Director of the Public Health Agency of Canada, who was visiting Six Nations. I was able to have lunch with her, and then Health Services hosted them took them on a tour of a number of their facilities. I then traveled to Toronto to attend a Political Confederacy meeting, and also to attend the 10th anniversary to celebrate the Ministry of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation, which was held at Queen's Park. And on April 12th, I took part in a signing ceremony with the federal and provincial government and other First Nations leaders, and we signed a commitment on child welfare, to look at policy reform and to also look at funding mechanisms and to work on co-implementation and co-drafting of anything that's going to happen with respect to those two areas. So that's something we'll keep on. And on the 12th, I was also in a conference call with the Aboriginal Sports Circle, Canadian Lacrosse Association, Canada Summer Games, and others, and that's when we were again talking about how do we get lacrosse to be one of the sports played at the Canada Summer Games in 2021. So we're going to keep at it, and we've got a few years to make sure that it happens, so we'll keep the community informed on our progress there.